Hey everyone, welcome to the Cashing In on Creativity Show. This is the show where we showcase artists, authors, musicians, learn about their life, learn how to improve your business, and get educated so that you can be successful in your own creative business. So check us out at cashinginOnCreativityPodcast.com and let's get on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Cashing In on Creativity podcast. I'm your host, Bruce Outridge. Today we are going to be talking with Brandon Boron. Now, Brandon is a military musician based in Maryland, in the United States, and he's been on some of the biggest stages. He's played at the Grand Ole Opry. He's played with John Fogerty. He's been doing a lot of stuff, and he's recently written a children's book and a Christmas song that goes with that book. And we're going to find out all about his song, his career, and he's got a real love of the trucking industry. This is brought to you by Lead Pedal Radio. It was an interview done on our radio station, and so I thought I would share it with here for you. So if you thought of writing a book, if you've thought about writing a song and you're a musician, then you know what? Here's some inspiration for you. Check it out, and let's go to the interview with Brandon Boron. Everybody on the line, I've got Brandon Boron, who's an author, musician, Army vet. Wow, what else do you do, Brandon? Welcome to the show.
Hey, pleasure to be here. Pleasure. Apparently, I do podcasts too. So there you go. Add it to my resume. I love it.
Yeah. And thank you for your service. I actually just did a bunch of shows about it's Remembrance Day yesterday up here. It's Veterans Day in the States when we're recording this anyway, not for people listening. But thanks for your service. Yeah, I just did a couple shows all about veterans and stuff. Appreciate you. Tell us a little bit what you do. Let's start off with the Army service. Are you still in the Army? Is that done now? I heard you're in service.
I sure am. I am. And I'll try to make a long story short, but 19 years and 2 months ago, I joined the Army to pay for med school.
Okay.
I had studied music, and then I went back to school to go to med school. And I joined the Army to pay for med school. They found out I had a background in music, so they sent me to Europe, and I played in the U.S. Army Europe band over there, traveled around. My father was in the Air Force. My father wanted me to join the Air Force, but I told him that I wanted to, do something a little more exciting than sit in a desk chair. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, all you Air Force guys. But I joined the Army. I went over, I played with this fantastic, it's public affairs, playing music for the Army and traveling around, especially for the folks over, our allies and our European friends over there. It's great to put a positive face on the Army. And, right. And so we traveled around. I volunteered to go from there to Iraq with 1st Armored Division. Did that. It was an incredible experience, the camaraderie, just the experience of doing something like that, I will never forget. But I was happy to come home, and from there, once again, they sent me then to Belgium to play with a NATO jazz band. So no matter how hard I try to get out of being a musician, I find myself, whether it's it's just divine intervention or not, I keep finding myself being plugged into these fabulous experiences. I went to Belgium. But I got to back up. Right before I went to Iraq, I met my future wife in a pub in Wiesbaden, Germany, as soldiers often do. And my father brought home a beer stein when he was overseas with the military. I brought back a lovely, wonderful wife who, happy to say, I am still with and will always be with. So we met right before I went to Iraq, came back from Iraq, got married a couple months after I went to Iraq, moved to Belgium, played music in Belgium, and found out about another. And at this point, I've already been in the military over a decade. Found out about this opportunity in DC to audition for what they call a premier band. It's a group of the best military musicians, uh, and auditioned for that. Got the gig. It was just, yeah, just so fortunate and blessed to have that opportunity. And we moved here back in 2013, and we've been here in Maryland, and I've been serving as a military musician in the U.S. Army, and extremely proud and honored to do that. And we honor our vets, and we travel around, play music, so that's never ended up going to med school, and I'm still, but why would I? I have this incredible life doing this and serving my country doing that, and I get out and meet all of these just fabulous veterans and the folks out there that support what we do. And so that's what I do, as a musician. And so songwriter, I've been on the Grand Ole Opry. I've done all these great late night shows, and I played with, John Fogerty from Creedence Clearwater Revival a couple times out in Vegas, and Harry Connick Jr. And I've just had all these tremendous experiences, and been fortunate enough to do that as a musician. I'll tell you, I don't know if this is a good segue
Sure.
to kind of get to where we are today.
We don't have segues.
Okay. Well, I think you'll appreciate this, and some of maybe your more seasoned, if you will, listeners. But I'll back up a little bit. When my father was in the Air Force, he was in missiles. That was his business. Okay. And the highways and the interstates in America, part of the design and the whole impetus for that was so that we could transport missiles all over the country, quite frankly, and shipping, right? Yep. And so being a kid and around my father's business, not only did we get to go down in missile silos and all this crazy stuff, but shipping and truckers and transportation was a big part of his work. And so I got to meet all these guys, and they all had a lot of pride, and they would have T-shirts made of their company and stuff. And I mean, I still have some of them, big guys with big arms hanging out of their trucks and stuff, And then as a kid, I loved Smokey and the Bandit, and I mean,
my world.
who didn't? Who did? I knew all the words to Eastbound and Down when I was 10. And now I play it. Now I play it on guitar and sing it. Oh, cool. So I was always, like many other young kids, always just fascinated by that. And then as I got older, some of these experiences as a musician, and particularly kind of getting into country and bluegrass and all that. I mean, the things go hand in hand. Well, we had the great fortune to work with a gentleman named Bill Kirchen. Bill Kirchen is the guitar player for Commander Cody and the Lost Planet Airmen. Yeah. Semi truck and looking at the world through a windshield and all that. So, I mean, talk about truck driving music. Bill Kirchen showed me a lick on the guitar that sounds like a truck horn, which actually led me to the idea to write this song, which was 18-wheel chrome and steel sleigh. Yeah. And that song eventually turned into a book, and that's why I'm here today.
That's awesome.
Telling my story. Yes.
That is so awesome. You answered 3 of my questions all in one, so good. I don't have to ask them again, but I do have different questions now. See,
I love it. So, lay them on me.
First of all, why? And I don't know, it doesn't matter. We're in Canada, you're in the States. Why does the Army or the military services not advertise what you did? I'll tell you why. I signed up for Army cadets when I was 12, 13 years old. Okay. And did it for about 2 years, wore the uniform, which I hated. It was wool back. I'm 62. So it was wool back then. The guy just yelled at me for 2 years of, trying to get me to drill. They said, take apart the gun. And I took it apart. I couldn't get it back together. So I realized I'm going to either be a private for the rest of my life if I do make it through basic, or I'm just not the guy here. But nobody said, hey, you know what? You can be a musician in the Army. You could, I drove truck for 25 years. Nobody asked me about any of that stuff. Right. I'm just thinking of drilling and in the trenches and all that stuff. And I listened to your story and I'm going, Man, you can be in the army and play music, like that doesn't even go together most of the time. So I think you should maybe be part of the marketing program and let them know some. I think people would sign up for that kind of stuff if they knew that there's a way of using your talents, whatever that might be, for the army, as opposed to
Sure,
just always
sure.
being the guy behind the gun or whatever, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
Well, and
that's crazy.
it's funny you bring it up because people will often people are I mean as surprised as I was to find out that you can be a musician in the military. I grew up as a military. We call them I was a military brat,
Yeah.
Air Force brat, and I grew up and I had maybe a couple times maybe seen the band or something, but it wasn't in my consciousness. And we a big part of kind of like what we by default end up doing is educating the public about the opportunities that are in the military. At least down here in America, there's over. I think the last I heard, there's over 150 different careers.
Yeah.
You can be a lawyer, you can be a doctor, you can be a musician, you can be a cook, you can be. I mean, it's almost every if you can do it in the civilian world, you can. There's almost there. You can do it in the military. So it is pretty interesting, and so for folks out that are maybe looking for opportunities to do, I certainly have had an amazing experience. It's been very rewarding. And so, I encourage young folks to at least look into it,
Yeah.
because, but you're right. I joined when I went down to the recruiter that day. I was going, I thought I was going to do some kind of combat arms, and I wanted to. My actually first job choice was PSYOPs, psychological operations, and I was going to go airborne, and I was going to jump out of planes, and I was going to learn to speak Arabic and all that. It wasn't. The recruiter had seen an email from somebody saying, "Hey, don't forget if you see people with music backgrounds to ask them about it." Otherwise, if he hadn't got that email, I don't even know if I may
Wow.
not be here talking to you today. So yes, it's interesting, right?
Yeah, that's amazing because I never heard any of that, and it's amazing. Now, before we get, we will get to your book and your song.
No, no, no worries. No, this was great.
We're
This is
all
great.
joking, but you had an uncle that was actually in the Convoy music movie. Is that correct?
That's right. He, were- he yeah, he was as an extra driving a truck in the movie
Okay.
Convoy.
All right.
And of course, as a kid, I thought, "Oh, this is so awesome." My uncle was in the movie Convoy. I don't think his face was ever on the on screen. This is my Uncle Joe.
Okay.
Yeah, love my Uncle Joe. Worked for the railroads too, and
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I thought that was cool. I had a grandfather who sold cars, and he kind of had this shop out on the border, this small border town in Texas, and he had a couple of tractor trailers, and he'd let us get up inside and play and sit in them and stuff. So yeah, it was great. But old Convoy, that movie Convoy, everybody loves Convoy.
I'm always interested to find out. I'm always interested to find out how people get into the industry or are associated with the industry. And a lot of times it's negative, especially in today's world. We're having a lot of challenges in the industry, and it can be pretty negative. So for someone to come in and go, "Oh yeah, it was all about Smokey. You're my new best friend. Trust me, I watch Smokey and the Band at least 100 times a year. I'm like
Oh
all
yeah,
that stuff in Convoy, so it's great. Let's get to something about you. Enough about
sure. No, that's all right.
let's talk about the song first. Did you write the song and then the book, or the other way around? Let's talk about the song, and we're going to get into your book in a minute. What made you come up with the song? Is this something that you do? Is this your first song? Do you have more music out, or?
Well, so I've always, since I was a young musician, I've naturally gravitated towards writing my own music, from just being a kid in the bedroom, messing around on the guitar, coming up with stuff to actually, studying music and understanding music theory and fully fleshing out songs and all that stuff. I've sort of evolved from that. I've been fortunate to play original music at the Grand Ole Opry. I was back in May. I got to sing one of my own songs
Oh,
on the
nice.
stage at the
Congrats.
Grand Ole Opry. Yeah, thank you, thank you. So there's certainly more prolific writers than myself, but I really really enjoy it. It's a very rewarding thing. Any songwriters out there would probably attest to it too, crafting a song and all that, and then putting it together. It's like really, it's creating something, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like so,
What's your process for that? Because I ask every musician this because I'm a cartoonist, so we all start with a title or a theme or something, and
sure.
from there. And I think you probably do. But I always ask. I'm always amazed from musicians. Is it the do you come up with the lyrics first? Do you come up with the melody first? How do you make it not sound like every other song? With so many songs out there in the world, how do you kind of make it still original in 2025?
Well, so for me, um, I'm a guitar player, so a lot of times, I don't really have a formula, but a lot of times it'll come from some kind of. I'll be messing around on the guitar and come up with like a rhythm or something that's kind of cool and captures me, and then it'll naturally lend itself to some kind of rhythmic words, and sometimes there might even be nonsensical, but you'll kind of tap into something or a mood or something. uh I will write down simultaneously, if I have a like what I feel is a clever title or an idea about a song or a subject. And then in the meantime, I'm kind of continually, if I have a little riff that I like, I'll record it. And then they just sort of sometimes like kind of merge and come together. But I personally don't have a formula. I don't sit down and write every day too, like some folks might. And maybe if you do that, like there used to be the old Brill building in New York City where like Carole King and all these people, that's what they did. They went to work in the morning and they had their briefcase and they sat at a piano and they wrote songs. I don't have like a real formula. I have the luxury of I'm not, of kind of doing it when the muse strikes and all
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But I tend to, it kind of comes together where like it's a little bit of an idea of a melody or a chord thing, and then the words, and then you start to, once you latch on to something, then you start to flesh it out, and then you might have a great chorus or a verse, and then okay, and then you start to, for me, you start to kind of like the intellect and all that. You start to think, well, I need a bridge and I want to do it this way, right? So you kind of intellectualize it, but a lot of it, quite frankly, and, not to sound pretentious or anything, but you hear a lot of songwriters talk about how sometimes it just happens and it's kind of magical, and you almost don't want to dissect it because I was reading a thing Bob Dylan was talking about the other day. He's like, somebody asked him like, where did all this come from? He's like, I don't know where it came from. It just did, so there's a lot of that too. This song actually, it was actually very, I was down in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. And Muscle Shoals, if you listen to Sweet Home Alabama,
Yeah.
the last verse is Muscle Shoals has got the Swampers. Swampers were a group of studio musicians down there, and they all look like guys that worked in labs, white button-down shirts, black
Right.
ties
Yeah.
and stuff. And they were world-class musicians. They played on some of the, you could be in Siberia tomorrow, and if somebody put on a radio or something, you might hear a song that came out of Muscle Shoals. Paul Simon, Otis Redding, Aretha Franklin. I mean, if you go in, there's a couple studios down there. There are gold records on the walls, and you're like, out of this place, out of this little place in the middle of nowhere in Alabama. So I was down there in the middle of like the summer working on a project, and we had this producers and the recording engineers, and one of the producers, we were talking about just writing music and whatnot, and he said, you really should get into writing some Christmas music, you know because there's a market for it, and look at like Mariah Carey and all that. So I thought, well, I think, hey, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And so I went home, and it was like July, and I was on vacation, and I wrote a couple of Christmas songs. Well, I told you, I'd mentioned earlier about Bill Kirchen from Commander Cody,
Yeah.
and he, Hot Rod Lincoln was one of
Yeah.
their big hits.
Oh, it's one of my
And
favorites too. Yeah, for sure.
oh yeah. So Bill showed me on the guitar how to do a truck horn, an air horn
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
guitar. I would do it for you. I don't think it would translate through the AirPods
That's
here,
okay.
but he showed me this little air horn thing, and I guess that, just like a little thing, a little nugget of an idea. I came home. I sat at my wife actually went to the airport to pick up a friend that was flying in, and I got some time to kill. I sat down. I started writing this song, and it turned out to be this 18-wheel chrome and steel sleigh. And so it started from a little nugget. I loved all this old truck driving music and all that, and so that was my sort of inspiration. And all these things, Smokey and the Bandit, and all these things, Breaker 19 and the lingo and all that stuff. Sort of kind of, I mean, it was just like I had a harder time weeding out stuff that I didn't use in the song as opposed
Yeah.
to like the stuff in the song.
Right.
So I did the song and recorded it. Did some, I had a great response from people. People love the song and everything, and it's fun to play. And last year, not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before, uh, I was talking. My dream has always been like, you got a song like this, get Brad Paisley to record it or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. I
yeah,
mean, how cool would I mean?
yeah,
Good. That'd be great. That'd be
yeah, yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Um, uh, and I've kind of had that in the back of my mind, but it occurred to me. I was like, you know what, this song might lend itself to like a children's book.
Yeah.
The imagery, Santa in a tractor trailer truck, and all. I can't do a multi-million-dollar music video, but I certainly could explore the idea of putting this out in the form of a book. And little kids, we all love trucks
Right, right.
and Christmas and all that. So it seemed like a natural it seemed like a very natural thing to do, and so pursued it. We could dive into this a little bit more too if you want, but pursued the idea of doing it in a book. Was very fortunate to meet some folks that tied me into the publisher and all that, and then we dived into doing the book,
Yeah.
and it just the official publication was just a few weeks ago, and so I'm really super super happy with the way it came out. The response has been great. It's just fun, it's a lot of fun.
It's great. The song is great. I enjoyed it. I've looked over the book. Your publisher sent me a copy, an e-copy, for me to look
Cool.
at. So it was very cool. So let's dive into the book.
Okay.
So your process for writing the book. So you did the story, and then you've got your illustrator was Sean Ivy. Am I saying his name right? I hope so.
That's correct.
Right.
That's
Okay.
correct.
So let's talk about your process first. You wrote the song, and then did you just say, "Hey, let's just write it line for line," or did you have to come up with another story, or would that become the story? I guess, right? What was your process for writing? Because I write. Some people write chronologically. The way I've written 6 books. The way I write is I write what I'm thinking that day, and then later on I go, okay, this goes with this chapter, and this goes with this chapter. How'd you? I know it's a children's book, but what was your process for starting?
So, in this instance, the song was complete.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want to deviate from the song too much
Right.
because I thought the song was the story.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this is my first book. So of course, I figured it would be smart to listen to an editor and to take that advice, but at the same time too, I didn't want to, I didn't want to deviate too far from like the lingo and the slang and that and the it's to a certain extent even sometimes the punctuation and whatnot for the flow. So I was hoping that it would be a balance between keeping the story
Yeah.
intact, changing what really should be changed,
Yeah.
and then of course illustrating it. So it was great. I had a great editor,
Yeah.
and so she recognized that you don't want to change like the slang and make it all proper English and all that if to the detriment of the story and the flow and all that. So she had suggestions if I liked them or not. She's very open to like my input, and I did change some of a few things, to make more sense and to
Right.
to keep it as a story, the tense, and have a conclusion and all that. So I did make some. If you listen to the song, especially at the end, is different than the words in the book, and it doesn't bother me. In fact, I figured, well, it'll be fun for the reader maybe to see. Oh, wait a minute, this is a little bit different. Maybe in the future we might consider doing a special version of the song that is exactly like the book. But for the meantime, that's like the radio friendly version of the song.
Right.
And a song kind of just is like you can loop a song. And so there's not necessarily, unless it's a real story, the chorus of the song is the same and all that. So there were changes. But as far as like the real like work of it, I never done a book before. So it was an interesting experience, putting in, analyzing it and going back and forth and working with somebody else. I'm not a collaborator when it comes to songwriting. Generally, I write the whole thing, and I'll bounce ideas off of people and my wife and stuff, and and incorporate those ideas. But generally, I'm not a Lennon and McCartney. I'm just I'm a Lennon and Lennon, or a McCartney and McCartney. So it was, but it was fun. It was fun. I'm a people person, and I like working with people. As far as the illustrations go, Sean Ivy. So I was presented through the publisher with, I don't know, 24 different artists, and I looked at their works and all that, and we were really lucky. My wife and I immediately saw Sean's illustrations and portfolio. And it's Christmas. It's a Christmas story. It's going to happen at night, and the way he handled night scenes and the magicalness of his work, it was pretty clear that we were hoping we could get him. So we whittled it down to, like, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 artists. They did test sketches. Sean came back again, was the clear choice for us, and he just did a fantastic job. He's out on the actual opposite end of the other side of the country.
Okay.
He's in Washington State. Never met him.
Right.
Never met him, but nowadays we have the magic of the internet and all that, and so that's how we collaborated. And yeah, he did a fantabulous job on the
Is this
illustration.
is this a traditional publisher, or because now a lot of people are self-published? This is a traditional publisher, right? Like did you have to pitch a story and all that kind of stuff? How did you get up with them?
So it's like what I would consider like a hybrid publisher. So I was the thing I liked about them is that, so quite frankly, we were able to, our degree of financing the project and retaining ownership. That's what I liked about this publisher. I believe they do traditional publishing as well.
Right.
I quite frankly didn't get into that with them
Oh, that's fine.
at this point. But I mean, they're handling a lot of the marketing and the distribution and all of that, which is great. But at the same time, too, I was able to finance a large portion of it, so that way I retain the rights to all of the illustrations and the artwork and marketing. I'm not fighting a big traditional publisher over creative rights and quite frankly my ability to put out the product that I want.
Right. That's very cool.
Yeah, and again, this is my first book. I briefly got into selling it to like a more traditional publisher, but I was just lucky that I met an author who's had multiple books from this publisher. He's done well with the books. I like the quality of his work and all that. So I kind of like just got really lucky, and just kind of, this is the way I was sort of like guided, and I went with it.
All right. So where do we get this book? Where do we go? I know you've got a website. Let us know where we should go, where we should buy it. How do people get this, especially before Christmas?
Well, I sure appreciate that. So the book is Santa's 18-wheel chrome and steel sleigh, and I don't know, I can hold it up here now.
Oh, very cool.
Because that was such a mouthful. If you look at this truck, on the side of Santa's truck, we came up with this fictional company. It's Pole to Pole Express.
Nice.
POLETO, Pole to Pole Express.com. We figured that was an easier website to remember and to type in. So if the folks out there want to go to PoleToPoleExpress.com,
right,
you can find everything you need to know or wanted to know about the book, and links to Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, the publisher. You could buy it through us.
Right.
and we'd be happy to sign it, dedicate it to anybody that
Oh,
you
nice.
you just you can leave a note. It's the same price no matter where you buy it. So if you'd like that option, I would be honored to make it out to whomever um, you'd like. So Pole to Pole Express, you'll find the link to the song there. There's also in the book at the end of the story. Don't just close the book when you get to the last page. There's also on the last page of the right after the story is a QR code that will take you to a link to the song,
Okay, I was
and
going to ask that.
you can hear a fine gentleman, Garrett Miles. He appeared on what's it called, American Idol at
Right,
one
yeah.
point. Talented guy, talented musicians. You can listen to the story, and then there's some other fun stuff in here. There's an example letter to the kids to write Santa Claus.
Yeah.
There's a discussion guide that parents can go through with the kids. Just some fun stuff
Very cool.
extra on top of the story. But yes, Pole to Pole Express is where you can find everything. And we've got. I mean, some of you truckers out there, we've got hats with
Nice.
Santa on the CB. We've got little squeezeball trucks with the website on it. We got toy trucks with
Nice.
with Pole to Pole Express on it.
Okay.
We got stuffed reindeer, Donner with this, with it. So yeah, we gone all out with this stuff, and
is it all available? Is the merch available on your site as well?
it is. There's links at the top of the site
awesome.
for all of this stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I understand your birthday is on Christmas Day, so if everybody buys lots of stuff, it's like giving you a present. I think that's pretty cool too.
Well, naturally, all of you married folks out there is a money manager in the family, and if I think I've been a good boy, and I would probably, I'd probably benefit from all you folks buying the book.
My friend, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much, and thank you for your service. Thanks for making a great book, and thanks for keeping trucking alive. I mean, we just need to keep doing it. Good luck with the book. I hope it goes really well, Brandon, for sure.
Hey, I appreciate it. And we all appreciate all of you folks out there, especially you truck drivers who, are out there on the road doing the long hours and making the world go round. We sure do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much, buddy. And gals.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Interview with Brandon. So hopefully you got a lot out of that. You can check out his book and his song called Santa's 18-Wheel Chrome and Steel Sleigh at poletopoleexpress.com. That's right. It's cool that he made a company based on the book. So it's really cool. You want to go and check out the song. The song is wonderful. I've listened to it myself, and it's going to be a good one. So check it out there and enjoy poletopoleexpress.com. What a great Christmas gift. Thank you to Brandon for being on the show, and we will talk to you later, my friends. Bye. Thanks for listening to the show. Hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you subscribe and follow the show on our socials. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X, and TikTok. And also you can subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for listening to the show, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.